An ongoing playing journal is a great way to get a better experience with ChatGPT or whatever other generative AI thing you're using. Now, what does this mean? This means you have, for example, a Google Doc, which most all of the things can read. You're writing a combination of maybe first-person journaling, your player character is saying what happened, but also just kind of notes from what you've done, the kind of things that a DM or a player might note. You could also just put in line actions that you take, things like that. It's a log of what's happening. You could also extract the chat log that you have, the responses that the ChatDM gave you, things that you typed in, whatever kind of makes sense to put in there. Whenever you start your session, you have it load up that journal, and it's doing a couple of things. Obviously, it's going to give it the context of what's going on, but because you've got this mismatch of things in there, it's also giving it examples of what the play is, what you want to do, the style. And you'll see it pick up on these things pretty well. If you have lists of NPCs and locations and things like that, whatever ChatDM thing you're using also can read that in pretty well. Now, of course, it's going to lose track of this. Its context window is going to go too large unless you're using something like Gemini that has a huge one. And it might also just not pay attention to everything. You'll notice this if you have a really long journal. It kind of focuses on what's in the first part instead of the latter part. So you might have to instruct it to go to the very end and refresh about what's going on in there. I've tried to experiment with things like Canvas in ChatGPT as kind of like the living journal that it uses, or working in Google Docs with the Gemini sidebar there, and for whatever reason that doesn't work out very well. You have to manually tell it to look at this stuff. One thing I haven't tried very successfully, and that is to say very much, is using Notebook ML. And thinking about how you could load your journal into there, the adventures, things like that, and maybe selectively pick the sources that you want. Now, the problem with Notebook LLM is that the chat sessions don't persist, so you have to be really careful about it just disappearing all of a sudden and you losing track of things. But try that journaling technique out. I think it's a pretty good way to go about doing things. Plus, you have the fun, as a lot of people who do solo role-playing do, of writing that journal. You can put images in there, other things like that. And it's also kind of delightful to go back and mine it for loose threads, other things that you can do. It's just a good practice for solo role-playing, and it becomes especially useful as a tool when you're doing solo role-playing with ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever generative AI thing you want. So try it out and tell me how it works.